Well, let me ask you this: when this trend happened, because we'll get you out of here soon, because you've given us over an hour, and thank you so much for your time. But
my wife's in New Jersey, so
I was gonna say, Let me ask you this: when did you see? How long have you been in the business now? Since what year did you start?
It's 20 years. Yeah,
20 years. Bro, when did you see? When did you see the trend in the locker room of? Bro, because when I came into the business, and everybody did this when I broke in the 90s, but all the way through when I was wrestling full time in 2008, you walk in a locker room, everybody shakes everybody's hand.
Yeah.
What happened to that? When did you see that trend started? Maybe getting all these, maybe it's a thing of getting all these kind of introverted younger people in the business, and there's not a lot of alpha males in the business anymore. And people are kind of shy. I don't know, but I think that's the weirdest thing to me. I go to shows today, and I walk up they just stand there. I'm like, hey, I'm Glenn. Nice to meet you. So what's your name? And I don't see that anymore. So it's kind of weird.
A couple things, and I think this is why I love the idea that our class is taught by Cody, right? Especially day one. And I'm going to give away some secrets, but day one, the first thing he'll say is okay, Disco, when you first started, who was your favorite wrestler?
Oh, dude, I thought Roddy Piper.
Okay. So Cody would say so Glenn, I want you to treat every single person you meet in wrestling like they're Roddy Piper. And if you do that, it'll go a long way for your career. Right. So when you, and I thought about it, I was like, man, no one ever said that to me growing. So I used to look at certain talents they are on the screen. And then, you know what I mean? And people have done that to me. And it's you have no idea I'm flying on the jet with Tony after this show. And you're treating me like I'm some piece of crap, and I'm not a piece of crap. Yeah, on TV, I get beat in 30 seconds, but that doesn't mean I can't help you change your career if you treat me the right way and so on.
Joe, trust me. If I get the jobber, relevant, come on.
On TV, that might be my role, but at the end of the day, I'm a human, right? So learning that. And again, I always say, out of all the money I ever spent in wrestling schools, I've learned more from just hanging around Cody and Billy Gunn. And that's the other thing. Back in the day, you didn't go to a school. You got broken in by somebody. And that person would take you with them, and they would talk to you and teach you all of these nuances of hey, make sure you shake everybody's hand and be respectful. And it's if you're not there on the class where we teach you that, I might not go over it again. And then all of a sudden you make one mistake. And it's I think a lot of it is people are intimidated, right? Because they're going to go up to me and shake my hand because I'm wearing swish pants and a Under Armour polo, as opposed to they might not want to shake, MJF's hand because he's walking around. He looks like he's in his head. But then you actually go to shake his hand. He's the nicest person. You know what I mean? I think it's definitely the people, right, on their own of just being introverted and so on and so forth. And then a lot of it is wrestling schools. They've never done these things because at the end of the day, why would Derek Jeter open up a baseball school? He doesn't have to. He's a multi-millionaire. He don't need to train kids how to play baseball, but he might open a school, and then it's the person training there or the coach might be some guy that really needs money and is hoping that he doesn't have to get a real job and this is his job, but he's not going to be able to teach you all the stuff that Derek did to get to the level Derek Jeter was at, which is don't get thrown out of games, don't act like a jerk, all these things that the qualities. And I think that's a lot of it in wrestling is that I always tell people ours is a beginner course, right? But I tell my wife when she gets people to sign up, if they have experience, let me talk to them first and let me tell them why they might want to still come to the school, even though it's a beginner course. By the time we get to week 6, you're really going to start shining now because we're going to be doing more in-depth stuff. But also maybe you've been doing this for 4 or 5 years and you're just you don't understand the etiquette part and the business part. And maybe that's what's holding you back because you think you deserve something or whatever. Right. And I think a lot of that is because the coaches just don't know either because they've never the handshake thing about being loose, right? To not be stiff. Maybe that was something in the 70s and 80s, but ideally, when I got to Bubba's school, he told us straight up, shake hands like a man.
Shake hands like a man, right?
Yeah, look him in the eye.
I used to think when they used to shake my hand like that, I was what type of wimpy, disrespectful handshake is this? Right. And then I found out I know how to work, brother. I'm
right, but
everybody's okay, fade. That's the only way you explain to somebody.
Right, but that's outdated now. Right. But I just think that I just think, because I was talking to these old timers and they were like, one of the reasons that everybody called each other brother back in the day is like they were like a family. They traveled together. There weren't that many plane trips. They partied together and all that. And they didn't know if that was the last time they're going to see you. And that's why they would shake your hand. But I just think shaking hands is like anywhere. You don't go to a job interview at Starbucks and not shake the manager's hand. Correct. That's common courtesy and etiquette.
It's just being an adult, right? And that's something that I think a lot of people don't treat wrestling like an actual job. They treat it like wrestling, and that's because, unfortunately, and again, I was guilty of it. A lot of the people that are running the local indies and this, that, and the other, they're just doing what they think is right. So they're calling everyone brother. They're shaking hands like a wimp. They're doing all of these things. And then like you get to the main shows and you're like, hey, brother. And you're like, I'm not your brother, man. I'm your boss. And it's just like Billy Gunn. I love it when someone calls him brother at an indie show. He just, because he was never really on the indies.
Lloyd is the funniest one with brother. Hey, brother.
Yeah. And it's like, it's just one of those things of like, you just have to understand that you can treat it like a true business. And there are guys that do that and they do really well because they just treat it like a business. The thing is, like, I'm one of them. If you treat it like it's your dream, man, people could walk all over you and you're going to let them, because at the end of the day, like, man, I do extremely well.
Bro, you act like a mark, you get treated like a mark.
Yeah. And you just have to know that there is
that.
And the biggest thing with me was when I was a VP and a talent, like I would get to wrestle a guy like Keith Lee, who I know I could literally put together something with him that would wow the internet like crazy. But as a vice president, I knew what the goal was for that match, right? The goal was to get Keith to the match with person X, and he's just going to run through me and I'm going to get a little bit of offense. And I could have pulled the card of, hey, I'm going to power bomb you and I'll dive and you'll catch me and we'll get this is awesome chance. Right. But that wasn't the job for me at that time.
Right.
And even though no one told me that wasn't the job, I just knew what the role is. So I did it. And I always told Tony when I came back, hey, if I'm going to start wrestling again, I'm not going to think like that. I'm just going to do what I got to do to get over. And he was like, okay, yeah, that I understand. And I was like, all right.
Let me ask you a question, because you bring up Keith Lee. Can you say, or do you know what happened to him? I haven't seen him in a long time.
I feel like he got hurt. Okay. And then whether maybe he's just waiting to be cleared, I really have no idea. Okay. Yeah, honestly, like,
let me give you another name, Wardlow. What happened to him?
He was hurt. I don't know exactly what happened, but he posted something. So I know I'm not breaking any HIPAA violations. I believe he posted something on Instagram of his car being wrecked, which made me think like he got. And I asked him, So I think it's a matter of like, hey, what are we going to do with them? And with Adam Cole not being there, that whole kind of situation.
I don't think he needs Adam Cole, and I think being in there didn't really help him. But that's another story.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was.
Let me ask you one more question. I'm sure there's other guys I could mention, but what happened to Hobbs?
He did get hurt.
He's hurt.
So all three of them got hurt.
Okay. Yeah, he got hurt.
His knee, right on that move in the corner that he did that time.
Yeah, with Moxley, right?
That's right.
I think he hurt his knee.
He got hooked on the second rope or something like that. Yeah, that was a freak accident.
Yeah, I think it's just and unfortunately, again, that's part of the, like we were saying about kind of simplifying your stuff. Well, granted, it was just him running to the corner, right? But like,
a lot of the injuries are like they're accidents, but like, are there really accidents? It's like some of them are like you're driving 75 miles an hour in a 45 and you're weaving in and out of cars and you hit a telephone pole. That's like that's an accident, but it's not an accident, So that's what I think sometimes.
And that's kind of why
they call it high risk,
right?
It's
and that's why I really liked.
Sometimes. Yeah, good.
That's why I liked being with Will and he loved it too. I mean, the internet gave us a lot of. But like, man, I was able to be ringside with him. One, he was like, he first started wrestling Penta in Phoenix because I speak Spanish and I was able to help call some spots to those guys, or, you know what I mean? Like, two, I could stand ringside and even one of the fans caught on to it. And he was like, oh, that's why you're a stupid manager. And I'm like, yeah, like, I'm not going to publicize that because, Will is a tremendous younger talent, right? And he's younger in years in the ring and experience. So if I could tell him to slow down and tell him, like I said, hey, put your hands in the air, just get some heat, relax, take a breath, go here, I can also pivot. And it's like being a tag team partner. And that's, like I said, again, I go back to where people were saying how, CM Punk didn't want me with him and I was mad because I wanted to be on TV. It's like, if you knew me, you would know the last thing I wanted to do was be somebody's manager. You know what I mean? Especially as I'm having this glow up and getting in shape and getting this push in Mexico. Like, I don't want to be someone's manager. I want to be a main event guy. Right. But like, I'm going to do what my boss asked me to do. So I'm trying to juggle being Hobbs's manager and trying to do a tag team thing with Morrison or Johnny TV. It's like, then it became, hey, well, you're in this angle, you're in this angle. And it's like, yeah, I'm just literally doing what my boss tells me to do, man. Like at the end of the day, I'm not pitching stuff for myself. I don't care. I'm just, I do all right,
Yo, what's up? I just want to thank you guys for watching this clip. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe, and join our YouTube membership for hours and hours of exclusive, unedited, uncensored content. And being a member will help you get involved in our upcoming live streams. Thank you for your support. Thank you for riding with us. I know you got a lot of other podcast choices, be it wrestling or other ones. And thank you for picking us. Boom.